paranormal. It surrounds us. It's everywhere. Tonight, you will hear from the people who live and work within these highly active locations, all in the efforts to discover America's most haunted. With your host, ghost hunter and author, Dan Terry.
Good evening, boys and ghouls. Welcome back. I am Dan Terry, your ghost host with the most haunted, and Halloween's over. But good news, only 361 days to go before Halloween again. And of course, Halloween season starts about March when the ghost tours kick in, so we're not going to be out of it too long. But we had a really great Halloween season. Mine's not quite over. I still have one more ghost tour to do tomorrow night, one more ghost hunt. Then I'll be taking some time off. But I really love the Halloween season. We had a really great time. And, how do I say this? So many people come into ghost hunting because of the Halloween season, because they see it on television, they see some of the new shows, they see other ghost hunters working, they take the ghost tours, often done by ghost hunters, and they want to try it out. The problem with that is you don't know what you're getting into. Anybody watch whatever that show is, 28 Days Haunted, I think? One of them took place here in North Carolina, but there's 3 shows. It's on Netflix or something. There's 3 different haunted places with ghost groups doing the ghost hunting for 28 days. And the things guys, I've been doing this since the 70s. The things that were going on there, I've never seen anything like it. Now, Tim may have, my first guest will be Tim Clifton. He's done some heavy demonic activity, but in just a regular, everyday ghost hunt, I have never seen all the shelf doors and cabinet doors slamming together. And I've never seen a lot of this stuff. I don't think most people really, truly understand what you're getting into when you do a ghost hunt like this, when you try to become a ghost hunter. And Tim Clifton, who has been ghost hunting with me for years and years. He started out with Missouri Paranormal Research Society. He came along with me on a lot of ghost hunts. Guys, we have done some incredible stuff. Haunted jails. We have done haunted homes, bridges, all over. We have been working together. There is no sensitive I'd rather have behind me on one of these than Tim Clifton. He feels the same way. He said, we need to talk about the dangers of ghost hunting. And I don't just mean spiritual, I mean physical dangers. So let me bring on Tim and let's talk a little bit about ghost hunting. Ladies and gentlemen, Tim Clifton.
Oh, wow. What an intro. Good evening, all. As I titled my email to you, so you want to be a ghost hunter. Okay. Have you sat down and thought about what all that entails? Because you're going to open yourself up to something. There's such things as attachments. You just make Casper mad, and he just may pick you up and throw you against the wall, which I had happened to me at the truck stop. There's, after you're done with the ghost hunt, does something come home with you? And, for me, and by being sensitive, the dreams, the other things that go on with once you open yourself up to this vial. You got a vial sitting there, haunted house. You open it up, it's like Pandora's box. Because once you open it, you're not going to shut it.
Tim, the first thing you said in the email where we started this idea was, do you really want to ghost hunt? Well, let me ask you, how many people have we dealt with in the last, have we been doing this about 15, 20 years?
Something like that, yeah.
How many have you dealt with, or we dealt with, whose goal was to get a TV show on cable networks?
Too many. Too many.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in it for that, you're doing it wrong. You know, there is, you know, it's like anything. It's like, you know, in Major League Sports, all these high schools and colleges has thousands of people participated in what, less than 1% actually go on to be a Major League ball player. You know, it's not, it's most likely not going to happen. And if you make it happen, you have probably embellished what was there. And that's the thing that drives me crazy about ghost hunting programs. To be quite honest, you are going to sit in the dark for many, many hours. It always seems like it's always in the cold too, or the red hot. There's never, you know, it's never 70 degrees with mild humidity. It's 95 degrees with 95% humidity. And you're just sitting there pouring sweat and nothing is happening.
No, but you get that nugget every now and again that's really makes it worthwhile.
But ghosts don't perform on demand.
No.
It would be nice if it would be really nice if you could. I remember one particular ghost hunt. You were not there, but we sat for almost 7 hours in the basement of Tri-County Truck Stop. Nothing except ice cold shivering, you know. And then when it happens, you kind of get lulled a little bit, and something happens, and you're not really prepared for it.
Right.
You know, miss part of it, or, you know, and then people get excited about, oh, I saw an orb. And you and I have little different thoughts on orbs, but I think you'll admit most orbs are dirt, dust, debris, bugs.
Absolutely.
The orb.
Not all.
Every once in a while. And my favorite example of that was that hotel we did in Gasconade, Missouri. When we were all sitting there and we could see back in the deep, deep dark, all these little flashes going on, sprites.
Yes.
You know, where were they from? And then Sherry got Sherry, she really hasn't done many ghost hunts since. I think maybe that kind of maybe put her off her feet a little bit.
No, she came back out of it. Just, she got channeled. She got ran through, man. All right. Let me, to tell the story. We can't leave people hanging. We was in the hotel. This ghost was so angry, and I found out later the story I was saying was wrong. I was given the wrong information. But he was getting so angry, we could hear him throwing things beyond a curtain of darkness. We could hear it. We couldn't see it. And then where my wife Sherry was sitting was right in front of where the door was when this man was murdered. And suddenly she jumped up, slammed her hand over her mouth because she was about to scream. And we found out later the ghost was leaving through the door he remembered by running through her. And she said it was an electrostatic shock all through her body. She had goosebumps on the bottoms of her feet as well as all over her arms. It was a shock to all of us because she is or was the most skeptical of us.
Oh, yeah. And she's done what? Hundreds of ghost hunts with us?
Oh, yeah. Easy.
It's not like this was her first experience. That's why I say, do you really want to be a ghost hunter? Are you prepared for something like that to happen? My great love of ghost hunting is not so much the ghost. It's finding out the unique history of a spot. I love history.
Sure.
And if you're going to go somewhere, you've got to do research. You got to go check the newspaper morgues. You got to check. I don't trust so much online because anybody can post anything online. Mm-hmm. Go to, not that all newspapers, fabricate things because they do. But you go to your local newspaper. Almost everyone has some sort of what they call it the morgue. Some are much better than others, but you can do research, and it takes time. That's the effort that goes into it.
You're actually better off going to the library for the microfiche files and reading the old papers from, I've read papers from 100 and some years ago. So
yes. And then so you find, and you've got a history, but you can't let that history influence you. This guy was killed here. That doesn't mean his spirit's going to be there where he was killed.
Right.
One of the big misconceptions is, we got a ghost hunt here. Somebody died in this house. Well, you know what? Just about every house, unless it's brand new, has had somebody die in it. Do they all retain as ghosts? No, some are nice ghosts like George. My ghost, Angela, well, she gets a little excited every now and then, but basically mostly harmless.
Mm-hmm.
She just wants to be recognized by throwing cans of pepper in my head. Things like that.
Well, you did give her papers away, so come on.
Yes, I did give her paper, but I gave them to her family member. Now, I don't know, maybe she hated that family member. Don't know.
Exactly.
You
were with me. We was in an old, century-old farmhouse on a more than a century-old farm.
Yes.
And they were rebuilding the building, and that was in Herman. And you were there when the floor gave way under me, going into physical dangers of ghost hunting.
Yes. A lot of people are like, this old abandoned house. We're going to go. Well, that house is abandoned for a reason. Some could be financial, obviously, but most of the time, like I said, 100-year-old house. It's not structurally sound.
Mm-hmm.
Think of General Horney's mansion when we first went there, and you were more brave than me. You went upstairs, and there were holes everywhere.
Yes.
So there are physical dangers. I had to help you get out of that hole you fell in.
Yeah. Yes, you did.
Fortunately, you weren't injured, but you certainly could have been.
Well, yeah, I lucked out on that one, but it was a shock when I went down past my knee into a hole. I guess there was a basement or something underneath it. Yeah. But the other part of the floor held up, and I was able to maintain my balance until you got there. But we've also seen places with old boards with nails sticking up. I remember that place in what was the name of that town? There was a wall where a old general store had burned, and Black River.
Black River.
And, but that place was full of old boards with rusty nails sticking up. You can't wear sandals and tennis shoes to these things.
No. You always wear your work boots if you got them.
Yeah.
And there's not only that. The structure could fall down because you put your weight on the floor. We haven't had that happen. We've had some boards fall. We were at a place in, it was just outside of Springfield, Missouri. And Steve LaChance and Teresa and I were walking down this hall, and we heard this creak. And when we did, 3 boards fell out of the ceiling.
You sure that wasn't the ghost? It sounds like there was one for each of you.
I don't think so. It was just the building was falling apart. After we did that investigation, about 2 weeks later, we found out the building collapsed. It just fell over in a windstorm. So you've got that, and there's another one that so many people want to ghost hunt. Don't think, we're going to go ghost hunt the cemetery tonight. You know what? You're a former police officer. What happens when you get caught trespassing?
Well, in Missouri, you can be in a cemetery at night. It is legal there. Here in North Carolina, it is illegal to be in a cemetery at night. Now, here's one for you. I misquoted that. It is illegal to be in a graveyard, but you can be in a cemetery.
Okay, yes, one of those. Okay.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, a graveyard is connected to a church, so it's private property, but a cemetery is just where they buried people, and the laws are different there.
I see. But you as a police officer, if I go into a graveyard and you show up at 2:00 in the morning because somebody called and said, hey, there's people running around this graveyard, what's going to happen to me?
Well, you're going to be questioned, and you're going to be probably searched, and we're going to be looking for other forms of spirits. But if you're okay in Missouri, you're okay. We'll leave you alone. Now, how many times did the police show up at Enoch's Knob Bridge on us?
A bunch. Yeah.
They got to the point.
I think most of them wanted to ghost hunt with us.
It got to the point dispatch was phoning me to say, are you at the bridge? Because if you are, we won't send anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, public property at that time on the road, it was not illegal to be there. But you're raising questions if you're out there at 2 a.m.
Yes, you are going to get an inquiry at least.
And while you're at that.
So it's some of the dumb ghost hunters that, carry alcohol or illicit drugs with them. And that's one that always drove me crazy. And I don't mean to say bad things about some of the people at NPR. I'm just going to generically say it. The first thing a bunch of them would do is get outside and get stoned before going into ghost hunting. So
I never witnessed that.
What are you going, your senses are now altered.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into the whole whether pot's legal, illegal. It's going to alter your senses the same way if you drink, a couple shots of whiskey, your brain is impaired.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things we got to look at when we ghost hunt, we've got to be aware. We want to open ourselves up. I've had so many people ask me, I'm sure you also, why do you ghost hunt in the dark? We ghost hunt in the dark because we want to take our sensory input away. So our sensory input becomes more sensitive to other things.
That's
we
just part of being an animal. Yeah.
Yeah, we rely so much on our sight for everything. All of us do. You put yourself in a completely dark building, you're taking away your sight. So your mind's going to open up to other things. That's
smells, sound.
Yes. If Ghost is there at night, I guarantee you he's there at 12:00 in the afternoon.
Absolutely.
Or she. Do ghosts have genders?
Oh, I think so, because there was one there at Herman that only answered me if I called her by her female pseudonym.
Pronoun, yes.
Pronoun, thank you.
Yes. So you want to ghost hunt, so you get a group together. Don't get in a ghost group. Just don't do it.
Before we go the problem that I have witnessed with people who, and I've had folks that want me to help them learn to ghost hunt, which you're aware of that. And all right, I'm going to be rude here, folks. Shut up. People on ghost hunts need to learn to shut up.
Amen.
They talk constantly to each other. I know part of it's nervousness or whatever, but they're yakking. The idea is to hear the ghost. And when I'm checking EVPs later, I don't want to hear you two sharing a recipe, which actually did happen, or talking about this guy or talking about this girl and how dare she show up wearing that. I mean,
and the other part of that is you want to listen to that EVP. And even though, because I know, I've done this on many ghost hunts, it's like, if you have to say something, do not whisper. And everybody immediately after that starts whispering. And as one who has spent hundreds of hours going through audio files, it just makes me want to, So that way we don't, I lost your audio feed. Dan, can you hear me? We lost your audio.
You're muted, Dan. I can't unmute you from here.
Yeah, you're showing muted, Dan.
Go down there on the bottom on your
Yeah, we
screen.
finally got him to shut up, right?
There you go.
Gotcha. Sorry, guys. I don't know how that happened, but okay. Anyway, go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, but it's a tedious task afterwards going through evidence. I don't think anybody that first starts ghost hunting, they think about that.
No.
And I have some fairly, well, they're outdated now, but fairly sophisticated audio processing programs that enabled me to more quickly go through. By the way, most of your ghost stuff is going to be below 500 kilohertz. Plugins, put your features in, take everything out above 500 kilohertz. That's how you get stuff like "You're a Dead Man."
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was a good one. I was totally...
Going back to what we talked about earlier, though, you also need legal permission to be on some property.
Absolutely. Even if it's an abandoned house, somebody still owns it. It might be the government, might be somebody else, but they are liable. If you go in there and fall through the floor and break your leg, they could be liable. So most likely they're not going to want you in there.
Okay, right. Absolutely.
Unlike living in a big metropolitan city, which I don't, in small towns and little farmhouses, people don't tend to tear these buildings down. They just leave them there till they fall down.
Yes.
You need to have permission, and that's hard to get a lot of times for numerous reasons. We want to promote the fact our property's haunted, or we don't want anybody to know. We've run into both, and it's hard. It is really hard to overcome that. So you got to be prepared for disappointments. You got this great big creepy looking castle here. The owner says, you're not coming in here.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of urban explorers, what they call themselves, are actually trespassers. They go into these places. In fact, Morse Mill was first discovered to be haunted by
the urbex. Yeah.
Urbex, yes. So
yes.
When
I
they
love
went
their
in there
websites.
looking at
I
it,
love watching them walking through all these creepy buildings,
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a respect thing. Dan, if you own this house and you don't want me in there, I can't go in because it's your property.
Respectful and illegal to do it. So, all right.
I like you. I don't want to meet you pulling up in a police car. I don't want to ride it. I've personally ridden in a police car before, both as accompanying you and a guest in the back seat. So, for trespassing. So here's your grand plan. I'm going to go ghost hunt. What is your plan when you find a ghost? Better think about that. And also, if you're a person who scares easily, gets hysterical, likes to run screaming, if you're in a semi-abandoned building with crap everywhere like we usually see, and it's dark, the worst thing you can do is run out of a building. You're going to get hurt, physically hurt. You're going to trip. You're going to run into something. We were with the guys at NPR, and one guy got spooked, and he ran right into an open door. But, the door was open like 3/4 of the way, and he bam, right in. And he had this big old mark on his forehead. It's like, I told you, don't run. First of all, spirits can travel a lot faster than we can. You're not going to outrun a spirit.
No.
Now most spirits are what you and I have called Caspers.
Mm-hmm.
They're there. Maybe they want you to recognize them. Maybe they want you to leave them alone. But we've also seen what happens when you piss Casper off. And you can be scratched, hit, shoved, picked up and thrown against a wall. All these things can and do happen.
But now most spirits don't have that much power. Some do, and we have dealt with some, but most human spirits do not have that kind of strength. So if that happens, you've got to weigh the idea that you're dealing with something that has never been human.
Yes, in generalization thing, human spirits are very low power. If you get something that's not low power, it probably isn't a human spirit.
Right.
Now, at the time I was thrown against the wall, I was about 350 pounds. So whatever that was pretty damn powerful because I was thrown about 4 or 5 feet into a wall.
Mm-hmm.
I
was not there. I was downstairs when that happened. You met me as I was going up and warned me.
Yeah. At another place, I was pulled into a closet and 2 other people tried to pull me out of it. And this thing wouldn't let go of me.
Yeah, and those 2 are not tiny people.
No. I ended up with really deep scratches down my back. 6 of them. Mm-hmm. And finally it let go. To ghost hunt and do it properly, I feel you have to have a grounded belief system. I don't care whether it's you believe in God, you believe in, yellow crystals, Buddha, whatever. You better be firm in your beliefs because if you get a hold of a nasty spirit, they're going to attack you at your weakest point, which is your beliefs. So you need to be grounded. Generally saying, before we do a ghost hunt, I spend a good portion of a day praying and fasting to prepare myself because, not so much with you, but with Stephen Teresa, when we were doing these demonic hauntings, you had to be prepared and you had to be brave. My greatest quote about bravery is from John Wayne. Bravery is being scared as hell, but saddling up anyway.
Right.
And you got to be prepared to do that because you may walk into this abandoned building and you may see something you don't want to see. And even worse, something you don't want to see may see you.
We were talking also about attachments. We was at the what was that bar in Boondockers in New Haven, and there was a little child's ghost, been seen many times, and Sherry invited it home. And suddenly I got a little 2-foot shadow person darting around from room to room in the house. So, not that I cared. It's just a little ghost, but my resident ghost really didn't like that. And she disappeared.
George was not
George.
Happy. Did you take George with you when you moved?
He did not come. He was invited, but he did not come.
Okay.
That's his house. So I hope the folks who live there now are treating him well because he did well by us. But there is a danger of attachments when you go on these things.
Yes, there is. For whatever reason, and I don't know, a spirit, we call it an attachment. It goes home with you. And, if it's a typical Casper, so what? If you get something that isn't a typical Casper, because we know if you are a jerk in life,
yes,
you are a jerk in death. And I would use another word, but I don't.
Yeah, we don't do that here.
Yeah. If you are a jerk in life, you are a jerk in death. There's no doubt. And some spirits know they have abilities to manipulate you in ways you don't even know you're being manipulated.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know whether they do it for fun, whether, I don't think every spirit's out to possess people. That's not what happens. But we have that, infestation. We have, and also when you have a spirit that comes home with you, he might invite 20 or 30 of his friends.
There was a Mason house in Iowa. The spirit was going out and getting other spirits to come in and look at a picture to figure out who it was. So I know that happens too.
Yeah. Well, New Haven High School. What are we at? 30, 40 spirits all of a sudden come in, and
the old school. Yes.
Yeah, the old school. I mean, it was incredible. We just kept hitting on another and another and another and another. And apparently they were all people that just came to check out my old school. There was nothing sinister there. It was just, we just happened to be there at a good time.
Right.
And when is the best time to ghost hunt, Dan? In your opinion, and I'll give you mine.
Okay. Are we talking time of day or time of year?
Both, either.
Mid to late evening in the spring or the fall when the weather is in flux.
Yes. I was just going to say that the best ghost hunt I was ever on, and this was not a demonic, was at General Harney's mansion. And there was this massive thunderstorm right before. The air was charged with electricity, and the ghost came out to play.
Yeah.
Including the general.
Was that the one I was at, or is that the one from earlier?
Yes, that was the one you were at. You and Sherry arrived right after the thunderstorm stopped.
Right.
But there was still thunderstorms going on in the area. The air was just supercharged.
Mm-hmm.
That
was the night we're sitting around at the bottom. I put a string of lights at the top.
Yes.
So we could, anybody who wanted to walk up there, unlike you, could see what was going on, where they were stepping. And we could see them flashing as something was pacing back and forth through the holes in the ceiling.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there was a lot. One of the more interesting ones, I took a bar magnet and hung it from a door frame with a tack. Mm-hmm. And of course, when you first let go of it, but after a while, it reached equilibrium. It was sitting there, and then when the ghost started appearing, that thing started spinning around in circles. Mm-hmm. Why? Don't know. I'm not a physicist. I don't know. All I can say is that, and we had the smell of cigars and the smell of lilac.
Yes.
And, we had other things happening. And we had Diane Jones freak out.
Well, she may have been doing that for dramatic effect, too.
Yeah. But by the way, that is, and you should let people know, that's up on your Spookstalker website still, isn't it?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah.
Give a listen to it. It's a good, hour and a half. It's a good time.
I will, it's all audio, but yeah, I will redo that. And so people can find that if they want to. It's spookstalker.com. But now let's move on to the physical threats, physical attacks from the ghost.
Well, most ghosts don't have the powers we already talked about.
Well, for what happened to you, but I've been bit, scratched, kicked at that one asylum I was in that tried to shove me down the stairs. I learned to keep my hand on the hand railing. So there are other ways of attack that take less power, but because it's a surprise, it can get you.
And it can be a psychological attack. Like I said, the more sinister spirits are going to be more sinister because they're more sinister spirits. There, I just said a really dumb sentence, but they're going to use any and every tool they can to get you to leave, get you to stay, whatever their agenda is.
But not just the physical attacks. And again, I have come out with teeth marks I find on my arm or back or whatever. But there's the psychic attacks, which I have not dealt with, but I know that you have, Teresa has, and others, especially with the demonic cases.
they can conjure images in your mind that you could never think of, things that never happen. And that's why I say you got to be grounded, that and specifically know your own history, where you have an image of, you did this, and you get this vivid image of you doing it like it was a fresh memory, and it never happened.
Yeah.
They can manipulate your thoughts. Most of the attacks come later on when you go home and you go to bed and you go to sleep in your subconscious. They're there. They're going to torture you. Then they may start attacking your family. After one specifically bad investigation we did that led to, I would call it a cleansing. A lot of people would call it an exorcism. I don't like the word exorcism because I'm not Catholic. But my wife was pushed down. She was going to get in the shower, and she said 2 hands just boom, shoved her into the wall. So, and also after that, 2 days after that, I had a heart attack. Was that coincidence? Right. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. So there are risks. Other risk. The first time we were at Tri-County Truck Stop and we're all sitting in the basement, I just happened to look up and see all these pipes covered in asbestos. Like, oh crap. We could be in big trouble here. Now, I don't think we were, because nobody was messing with it, but
no, but later on, I was walking around. I spent a lot of time in the basement because I had a rock thrown at me and I had an EVP. So I stayed down there a lot. But yeah, that old insulation that used asbestos was up to my knees down there.
Yeah. Other things, when you go into an abandoned building, well, maybe it's not as abandoned as you thought it was. And there's somebody in there cooking meth. I'm from Missouri. That happens in a lot of places.
Yeah.
So you go in there and you're gonna discover ether and anhydrous ammonia and a lot of other things, including a psychopathic person who's in there doing it. You can
folks who don't know, anhydrous ammonia will suck the lightest little breath of it will suck the moisture out of your lungs, and you will die or be handicapped. So, yeah, that is a big danger. Not as bad as it used to be because they've moved on to other drugs. But if you find a meth lab, there's 100 ways to die there.
Yes, there is. Ether is tremendously volatile. Yeah. Also, if you go on a ghost hunt and you happen to smoke, don't smoke.
Yes.
Don't do that. Don't drink. Don't do drugs. Don't do any of that stuff.
I went to Eureka Springs, the big hotel down there.
Yeah.
And my friend Sam, who I had not seen in many years, met me there. And we went outside, had a cigar, talked about the old days, and went on a ghost tour. And I felt so bad for the people who were going, I smell cigar smoke. Do you smell it? Yeah. Guy running the tours going, that's the ghost. That's the old doctor, because he always smokes cigars. And I'm going, oh my God, I don't want to break your hearts, so I'll shut up.
Right.
Yeah, that was us.
Yes. And another subject that we haven't covered yet is, and I know you and I are different on this one, it's Ouija boards.
Yes, I think everyone should own a couple of them.
I think you should not get even close to them. Not because the Ouija board itself, the piece of cardboard and plastic that Parker Brothers, is it? I think makes them
now. Yes.
Yeah. That's not what the problem is. It's what you do with that. You can draw in chalk on the floor and do the same thing, but doing that, you are inviting any spirit, to enter you and use your muscles to manipulate that planchette. You don't want to invite things inside of you.
Mhm.
I recall you and I went to this house in Gray Summit or near Gray Summit where
Yes.
they were having all the trouble. And one of the things is, I when I walked in, I'm like, "Where's the Ouija board?" We opened the closet up, and there was 4 or 5 of them in there.
Yeah.
And the guy said, "Yeah, we don't, we've got all this activity going on." Like, you ask, "What happened?" "Well, we were playing with the Ouija board, and this demon said, 'Can I come in?' And I said, 'Come on in.'" And guess
Oh,
what? It
God.
did. And we
Yes.
said, "Well, you
Yes.
got a problem. We'll see you later because there's nothing we can do for you because you're an idiot."
Yeah. You know what? There are ways of using them that are safe. I don't use them. As you know, I've never used one. I'm not afraid of them. Just the rods work better for me. But
Yes.
yeah, my friend,
Rods are different because you're asking the spirit to move that rod.
mhm.
You're not saying, "Oh, come into me and move the rod."
But again, there's a lot to be said for what is my intention.
Yes. Yes.
Ouija boards, you're inviting this demon in. Now, your intention is to deal with demonic forces. And God, I've met so many people who honestly believe what they saw on Supernatural or what they saw on Buffy the Vampire Slayer is true,
Yeah.
and you can cut a demon's head off. It does not work that way, people.
No, it doesn't.
These things attack you through your family, your bank account, your car, your financial
Oh yeah.
situation,
Demons.
your health.
So people know demons are non-human spirits. They're not susceptible to burning sage because why would the devil be afraid of a burning bush? I know you like to do sage, and maybe sage works with
Human
Casper.
spirits. I think it
Yeah,
does. It has so far.
demonic stuff. There is a way to get rid of it. It involves prayer. It involves fasting, and it's not something you walk in and go away, and it goes away. It takes multiple trips. It takes a lot. On that, exorcism that we went on, when the demon finally came out of that girl, she threw up. Okay, and that's not uncommon. As an EMT for many years, I've seen lots of people throw up. I have never seen anybody throw that much. And she was maybe 100 pounds to begin with, and she threw up about 20 pounds of stuff. It's like, geez, are her lungs coming up next? It's demons are not a thing to play with.
I agree completely. Yes.
Leave them alone. And I threw in my notes that I sent you. I don't know how familiar you are with mirror scrying.
Oh, yeah, quite. Go ahead.
Again, I don't think it's as bad as a Ouija board, but there again, you are inviting something in, but you don't know what it is. And like I always say, it's a can do. I'm going on my vacation. I'm gonna leave my doors open at my house.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe nothing's going to come in. Maybe the meth heads are going to come in. It doesn't. There's not. You don't get any more advantage by doing those things if the place is haunted, and not every place. Number one, not every building is haunted.
Granted, yes.
I suspect your brand new house is not haunted.
It is not, and I have a cemetery 100 yards down the trail still on my property. But no, nothing, and that's the way I like it.
And just because somebody died in your house doesn't mean they're still there. Most people go on. There are a lot of ghosts. I have learned that, which was really surprising to me. There are a lot of ghost spirits around. Most of them want to be left alone.
Yes.
They don't want you to bother them. If you do, and you make them mad, they can make you miserable. Yeah. So if you're going to ghost hunt, Dan, don't trespass. Don't carry. And if you're going to trespass, don't carry illegal things with you. Don't carry that pistol you bought for $20 from some guy that's got the serial number scratched off of it, because when the police officer shows up, you're gonna have lots of explaining to do.
Your letter said something that I really liked, and I want to explore. That is, once you find a ghost, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah, what's your plan? Yeah. What is your plan?
Well, what are the options?
Well, you can try and communicate, find out who, what, when, where, why, and how. And when you talk to spirits, and we use the rods a lot, spirits like to lie.
Yes,
they will tell you the most outrageous stories, and you can ask them, "Are you lying to me?" Yes. They'll be surrounded about that.
That has happened so many times. Yes.
Yeah. What are you going to do with this ghost now that you found it? Are you going to try to capture it, which isn't going to happen?
Well, when I was in the place in Eureka Springs, the big hotel down there, and a friend of mine was there. Well, it was the friend I told you about that I'd met there. And we made contact by way of rods with a spirit down in the basement. He immediately tried to get it to cross over. And I'm going, no, wait. This is how this place makes money. You're taking away their. I know it sounds bad, but if the spirit wants to leave, he probably can. You're trying to force him to leave, and that's not what we're here for.
Well, yeah, and that brings up a subject to me that just disturbs me. Number one, you, I, or anybody else does not have the power to cross over a spirit. That has to be the spirit that, maybe you can try and convince, but, I can't walk in and say, "You spirit, cross over." It's not like that happens on Supernatural, or a series that I loved was Dead Like Me. I don't know if you've ever watched that. It was a fun, but what happens on TV isn't what happens in reality. You're not our buddy Zach Bagans. You go into every building and get possessed. If he's getting possessed that much, he's got a real problem.
In the last couple minutes we've got here, I do want to discuss what you talked about, the equipment. Now, everybody needs a $600 teddy bear that flashes when the ghost is near.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, everybody needs a $900. Well, actually, the new Ovilus is running $1,500 now.
Wow!
But you got to have one.
Yeah.
Right. You need to hire a priest to go with you. That's a good $20 an hour.
Yep.
Right? Am I wrong?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, actually, if you go in with an open mind, if you go in and you are mentally grounded, everybody to some degree is sensitive. Now, I've seen sensitivity grow in you since we started doing this. At first, man, you were a stone wall. You were nothing. Then, it does feel like something's going on. Slowly. I was blessed, cursed, I'm not sure what. I've seen spirits my whole life. I've been tormented by many of them. I was ran out of a Walmart by one that just saw me and just didn't like me, I guess. I don't know exactly what his problem was, but he was big. He came running after me. I left. And that is not being a coward. That's being smart. There's a difference. A brave man stands up when the onslaught comes after him and shoots as many as he can, but when his gun goes click, and he don't have any more bullets left, the smart option is get it out of there, And it's the same way with ghost hunting. If you get overwhelmed, leave. There's nothing compelling you to be in this building. Now, we did stuff where we were sincerely trying to help people, so we didn't leave as early. But there's numerous places that, Steve Treese and I went to. It's like, we're going to send a priest over here. This is, this is something we can't handle.
The equipment I use was basically, I think everyone needs a video camera. Everyone needs some sort of electromagnetic field detector, like a K2.
Yep.
I like dowsing rods. They don't work for everyone, but that's my choice. And I love when the rods and the meter are going off at the same time. EVPs, if you've got the time to sit and listen to it for hours and hours.
Hours and hours.
And that's about it. I mean, that is all the equipment I generally take.
And that's what, $100 worth of equipment, maybe? You're depending on how fancy of an EVP meter you get. Mm-hmm. Personally, because of the way I am, I don't really need anything.
Right.
But I think I'm probably the exception, not the rule, at least. But, spirits basically want to be left alone.
Uh-huh.
So if you decide you're going to go ghost hunt a place, you're walking into their turf, you're walking in and disrupting whatever it is they're doing.
Right.
So you got to be prepared that there may be repercussions.
That's right. Tim, I think that's a good place to end it. I appreciate you coming in. We talked about this for months before we finally said, let's do it this Friday. But thanks for coming in and talking. I think we got some good advice here.
Yeah. Like I'm not trying to discourage anybody from ghost hunting. I'm just trying to give you a little bit of awareness that, yes, it is true. God's my witness. I was picked up and thrown against the wall. I was scratched. I was bit, pushed, punched, slapped. These things can happen. Got to be prepared for it.
That's
and
right.
Don't trespass. That just it makes all of us look bad.
It does. Good point. Tim Clifton, sensitive, who, I'm going to say, went with Spookstalker, and we did some really good work. Tim, thanks for coming in. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, and don't keep it in the past, okay?
Okay. Take care, brother.
God bless all. Race, have a good evening. Bye-bye.
All right, folks. That was Tim Clifton, as you heard, with his advice. And as he said, some I agree with, a lot I agree with. Some I just, we're going to disagree a little bit, but that's okay. And that's something I wish more people could do. Republicans, Democrats, conservatives, liberals, ghost hunting groups. It's okay to disagree because we're all seeing the fight from a different angle. So just try and get along with folks for a while. All right, a couple things I want to hit you up on. First, for those of you who have the time and want to come, I want to remind you about the Ghost Conference at the Blennerhassett Hotel in West Virginia, Parkersburg, West Virginia. I went through the vendors list. I counted like 30 plus vendors is going to be there. That includes folks from the Iron City Paranormal Group, West Virginia Unseen Paranormal, Mountaineer Paranormal, who's been on the show. There's going to be a lot of vendors there and a lot of people talking. Some of the speakers, demonologist James, I hope I pronounce this right, Anito. Megan Thompson, who is going to discuss Appalachian magic, and I really want to hear that one. Annie Weeble, Ghosts of Lake Shawnee. And if you don't know about Lake Shawnee, guys, it's an incredible place. It was a amusement park they built on the grounds of a massacre. And the place finally had to close for all the weird stuff going on, and plus it flooded. A guy named Sam Baltrus, I can't wait to meet him. He wrote a book on haunted hotels of New England. So keep in mind on this, what you get out of that is the ghost walk, an investigation, a meet and greet, and lectures. It's going to be a great night. And there's a serial killer's ghost in that building too. So if you get the chance, come on down. Check out hauntedblennerhassett.com. You start that on a search engine, they'll find it. And hauntedblennerhassett.com. I want you to check that out. And if you get the chance, come on down. I'll be speaking there as well. How many of you have subscribed to the UNX network? It's free, it's simple, and all you got to do is go to unxnetwork.com, opening page, drop down a little bit, you type in your email address, I think that's about it, and you're a member. And you get a free subscription to it. You get a monthly UNX newsletter. You get an X blog, and this time of year that comes out often, but it comes out more than once or twice a month. It comes out a lot. And you get a free digital copy sent to you by email of our quarterly UNX magazine. I think I've got one right here. This is the most recent one. And let me tell you guys, that magazine has 2 stories from me, which makes it twice as good as all the others. And one of them is just about Halloween and the ridiculous legends of razor blades in the apples and needles in the candy and all of that. There were very few incidents of that. And almost all of them was someone specifically trying to kill one person. So it's really rare, incredibly rare. But I wrote an article about that. Plus I wrote an article about the USS North Carolina, big haunted battleship. So there's a lot of good stories in there. Why aren't you getting this free stuff? It's silly. And I'm sorry to say, I think the economy is going to get a little worse before it gets better. Get the free stuff while you can, folks. All right. Well, that does it. Halloween is over. But again, just 361 days and we'll be right back into it. So stay here. Monitor this. The UNX network will be with you 7 days a week with stories about all kinds of stuff. This should be your safe place. I say safe place, but of course we do talk about demonic possession and Bigfoot attacks and alien abductions, but it's safe here. So come on by, check us out. And for all my friends out there, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being with me for the last year, and stay spooked. Good night.